want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Madmen of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Good evening, Madman Mafia. It is that time.
You know what I'm saying? We come in midweek. Is this midweek or is this the end of the week? I don't know, man. Maybe it's probably the end of the week.
It's 3/4 week.
Something like that, man.
Maybe it's mid the whole week, like the 7 days. I don't know.
Yeah, we coming with the mid in week version, little short version for y'all out there if you're watching this bad boy. You know we're at 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City, and as well as obviously Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So we come in on Mondays. We record our weekly show. Saturdays 8 a.m. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Airing live here over the airwaves, FCC Radio, Denver, Colorado. And then we stream that. Then we come back later on in the week and we just kind of do a little quick hit. Bow. Give you a little 2-piece with rice. 2-piece with dirty rice. Speaking of which, I hate the fact that Popeyes don't sell dirty rice no more. But I don't, man. They don't sell the Cajun rice. Be making me mad. But anyhow, we come back a little later on in the week and we hit y'all up with a little shorter topic, all that kind of good stuff. And today we're gonna shake up the jar a little bit.
Yeah. This is for our ADD kids who can't do an hour. An hour seems like forever for you. So this is, we'll break it down, and then I'll probably cut this up, make it even like a couple 1-minute segments with the words, so you can just watch that. Because I know your kids don't have no attention span. But tonight, the topic is, should a man marry? And caveat right here, I know a lot of ladies will be watching this because they're curious. This is not going to be us going in on the ladies. As a matter of fact, we'll be going in on the guys pretty hard. So,
ladies, man, I was planning on going in on the ladies, man. So you just messed me up, man. I was planning on.
Is that really?
No, I don't know. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't have a plan. I was just being adversarial.
Rebellious.
That's just the way I roll.
Can't be on my team. Can't be on my team. Gotta be rebellious.
That's just the way I roll, man. I'm a rebel.
On the same team, man.
I'm a rebel like Pee Wee Herman. Remember Pee Wee Herman said, "I'm a rebel, Dottie." Y'all don't know nothing about that. Rest in peace, Paul. R.I.P. Paul Rubin.
Yes, sir. So let's get into it, man. This was your topic, especially because you had a recent event. So I was curious about why you wanted to talk about should a man marry.
Well, my personal experience wasn't really the impetus behind the topic. But to your point, yeah, I walked down a sandy aisle about almost 2 months ago now. I say sandy because it was on the beach, and made some promises to God and a young lady. And so yeah, I am. I'm married, man. I'm off the market, ladies. I am off the market for real. Like Maverick after he met Charlie. I'm off the market. But so yeah, I mean, just the whole idea, man. Just the whole notion of and what made me think about it, to be honest, was because we're kind of in the thick of cuffing season. And this is a time of year, Valentine's Day coming up in about 6 weeks or something like that. And, a lot of people, you get through the holidays and New Year's Eve, want to be with somebody. Then you get into the beginning of the year and whatever, holiday season, cuffing season. And so just the whole idea of relationships come to the surface. And I just thought, man, I don't know if everybody wants that smoke, man. I'm not really sure how I feel. I got kind of conflicting opinions about the whole topic.
Yeah, that's why I was curious, because I'm like, man, you just got married. Don't be throwing any smoke into that. But I get it. It's cuffing season. A lot of those guys that dumped the girls before Christmas are now like, oh, New Year's and Valentine's Day is coming up. Now it's time to find me another girl. But for you guys out there, and this is gonna be really us talking to you guys, at least from my point of view. Kirk may dig in on ladies. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But should a man get married? Well, that comes down to you. As a man today, you need to be educated. You need to know what you're getting into. You need to know all the ins and outs of what's going on. Don't just allow the little head to take over for the big head and just say, hey, chase her down the aisle. She got a nice butt. You need to know what the reality is of marriage. And number one, I mean, we got the book right here, 7 Secrets of Modern Dating, the he said, she said guide to getting from single to spouse. key number one, secret number one, go within, look in the mirror. Gentlemen, it's time for you to go inside, get some therapy, find out about your traumas and your past and the things that can become your superpowers, can become your strengths, but right now are probably holding you back because you haven't looked into them because we as guys are told to suck it up and don't complain and don't ask for support, me being one of them. But at some point, you got to realize that until you do the work, until you go within, until you look in the mirror, those things are going to be the anchors that keep you held back versus the wind in your sails that can actually become your superpower. And if you are thinking of marriage, if you are thinking of walking down the aisle, you need to be doing as much work on yourself as possible so that you can attract a woman who will match you. Because so many of us go into dating, relationships, marriage with our trauma wounds unhealed. And so they were basically trauma bonding and attracting in women with similar trauma bonds or similar traumatic events, and then basically just bleeding all over each other and creating stories, projecting things all over the other person due to our trauma that we haven't dealt with yet.
Mm. I think generally speaking, my by the way, I'm looking to my right here. That's where my computer screen is, and I just hit the share button because all this month we're giving out free shares. So we won't charge you if you decide to hit like and subscribe and especially share. So hook it up, Buttercup. My general opinion, I think, is that most by far, since we're talking about should men get married, most men as well as women, but most men should not get married these days. And the reason I say
No,
that is because most of us aren't ready. Most of us, we're ready to date, maybe, maybe ready to date, probably not even that. Probably not even ready for a relationship, maybe ready for a relationship, but I think not so much in terms of the marriage aspect of it. And the reason I say it is because I don't think most of us have done, like you said, the work. One of the reasons, one of the things, the whole premise behind, behind the book, um, was the idea that, man, there's a process, there's a step, and before you do anything, chapter one is, man, work on yourself. You got to get yourself ready, and some of that is, I think, from a man perspective, a lot of that, maybe, I would even say maybe even 50% of that is getting your life ready, getting your life in order. Are you able to be the man that you want to and need to be in and for and through the relationship? In terms of getting your poop in a group, I mean, fix your life, get your work on your body, work on your career, work on, your finances, work on, your health in all of those areas, man, because when a woman comes into your life, and especially when she comes into your life with a ring, it's going to test all of those, man. It's going to test your financial health. It's going to test your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health, all those kinds of things, man. And a lot of us haven't dealt with our father wounds. A lot of us haven't, kind of gotten out of some places that we don't want to be in. And so, we don't come in with the structure that I think we should be in terms of relationships. So I think generally speaking, my overall opinion is the answer is probably not. You should not just on the sake of numbers, quantity wise and statistics. There's definitely 51% chance that you, universal, whoever you are, if you ain't married, you probably ain't ready to be married. A lot of us that are married ain't ready to be married. But for sure, if you're not married, most of us are not in that space and ready.
yeah, some of us have been lucky enough to skirt the ball and chain, and not get tied down because deep down I knew I wasn't ready. And there's a lot of other guys out there that are getting the short of the stick, being called all kinds of names, Peter Pan and little boy and all these different things. And those are the ones I think are the smart ones because they know they're not ready, or they believe they don't have all their ducks in a row, all the poop in a group. But for as guys, if that is a dream, if that's something you want to do, to Kirk's point, you do need to address all these issues. You do need to know who you are by doing the work so that you can attract the person who is going to be a match to you. Because I heard something, it was actually from Kevin Samuels, rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. But some guy was saying, asking him about, well, I just want a woman who will coddle me and baby me and love me. And he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. The only woman that's ever going to do that is your mother. You came from her. She's going to love you forever. So she's the one that can coddle you and baby you. Now, you want support, you want companionship, you want compassion from your girl. That's one thing. But you're not going to get that coddling from a modern adult woman. So you need to make sure you are the best version of you can be. You know what your foundation is, what your purpose is, who you are, so that you can attract somebody who can be a teammate and a collaborator and a coworker and a partner in those schemes. But don't expect her to be like mom or grandma, wiping your tears and dabbing your boo boos and doing all that stuff, because us as men today, we are expected to do so much. And one of the things, as much as I hate to admit it, we need to just accept the fact that we need to find our trauma healing probably through men's groups, through professionals, and not bring that home, and find somebody who can handle that isn't emotionally attached to us, and isn't their well-being isn't a part of our well-being. Like, we're not combined that way, so that if something's wrong with us, it affects them. So I mean, don't expect, I mean, you want to have a woman who is supportive and compassionate and loving and things like that, but don't expect her to kiss your boo-boos like mom did.
Right, because you don't want to. I mean, if you want to be married to your mom, then fine, move with your mom and live in the basement or live whatever.
Mm.
If you want somebody to be a mothering figure to you, I mean, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you need, then fine, go do that. Because yeah, nobody's gonna love you like your mom will. And for a lot of people, sometimes that's even debatable how much your mom, how much your mom, even your mom loves you, right? And so, if you want that, then go to the real source, as opposed to putting that pressure on another woman. She either has kids, wants to have kids or whatever, but she doesn't want to parent you. She probably needs you, especially in this world. She probably wants and needs you to be some level of structure, do some things for her that she can't do for herself, all those kinds of things. But yeah, you can't be with somebody for the sake of what you're going to get. Now, the older we are, and I'm still, this is one of the things I'm learning. The older we get, especially as guys, really the more selfish we can be. I've never been a woman. Not everybody can say that, so I can't speak for women. And I don't identify as one. I'm not qualified to speak for women. But for sure, for men and for, at least myself, sometimes, man, marriage will remind you of how selfish you are. And, sometimes, man, I catch myself because, I can have such a high expectation for my wife that I don't necessarily have for myself. And I could want her and look to her to, like, to basically please me. And that's not fair. But that's, marriage is kind of like alcohol and money. It makes you more of what you are. If you're selfish, it's going to make you more selfish. If you're an addict, it's going to make you more of an addict. Um, whatever that is, it's going to amplify. That's why they say be fruitful and multiply. When you get into a relationship, it's going to amplify and multiply whatever it is that you are. And if you're a jerk, you're just going to be twice as much of a jerk once you get into that level of relationship. And so again, I just don't think most guys are ready. I think even as far as dating, man, I heard somebody say it, like, don't marry somebody, date the woman that wants to date you, not the one you want to date. Because we project our needs, we project our fantasies, even if they're creepy, we project them on a woman, and we want her to be Martha Stewart and the porn star and all these other kind of things that we've created in our minds that we want. It's like the movie Weird Science. We're gonna make a woman and we want her to be, well, that ain't realistic. And so you know, and so we end up just pushing a lot of things onto women that they shouldn't need to be. And so, if a woman doesn't see your value or your worth as a man right off the bat, and if that ain't crystal clear, then bounce.
Yeah, and one of the things that one of the pieces of advice I give it to my cousin. I think I've given it to multiple of my cousins and guys I've worked with, is that get as happy as you can be by yourself. Do as much as you can to be as good as you can be by yourself, and then find out who matches that and adds to that. And that's a good way, because what tends to happen is, like Kirk was saying, we tend to try to shove our size 10 foot in a size 5 shoe. It doesn't fit, it doesn't work, because we think, oh well, she's cute, and let's make I'm going to put all my fantasies, all my stuff on her. And you got to keep your eyes open, because I know for me, a lot of times I tend to be attracted to those that have wounding, have trauma because it resonates with mine. So I want to go heal that. I'm like, oh, let me go fix that. Let me go be Captain Save-A-Ho and go over here and fix this girl. But you got, no matter what that draw is, guys, you got to be very self-aware and know and pay attention. Because a lot of times with that drama comes projection, judgment. Like they make up stories about you, like that. So like, and I, at this point in my life, I'm one of those people that I try to spread as much kindness and joy as I can. I try to keep my life as simple as possible so that I have the time and the energy to do that. And it's interesting because there seems to be three reactions that tend to come when you, as a man, try to shed, or not shed, but spread kindness and joy and compassion out to the world. And it's usually either the narcissist or like, ooh, how much can I get out of this guy? Or there's the rejection where they go, oh, I don't trust that. He's being too nice, or I got he's up to something. Or then you might, the smallest percentage, unfortunately, is usually ones that can actually accept your kindness and compassion. So do as much as you can to be as happy as you can, take care of yourself as much as you can, and find who matches that, who appreciates that, who can be a partner with that, and be very self-aware and honest with yourself when you're projecting on some woman. Like Kirk was saying, don't try to make this woman that you think's got a nice butt the end all be all of all your fantasies and stuff, because she may not be up for that job. So if you can generate your own energy, your own bubble of goodness and kindness and compassion and love your life and love yourself, that's going to attract somebody like a moth to the flame that's going to be a match. But you got to be discerning as well, because sometimes that bright light that you shine is going to attract a lot of these moths that you don't want. So make
Yeah.
sure you're doing the best you can for yourself and try to allow in the one that will match you the best.
You're right, man. Because when you're fulfilled, and when you come with a full tank already, when you don't need her, like literally, when you don't need her, when you don't need,
That's when she shows up.
I'm just saying the whole Jerry Maguire, you complete me. That's doo doo, man. That is straight up doo doo. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting her up for failure, because they're all going to disappoint you. She's going to disappoint you. She's gonna, the curtain's going to get pulled back. You're gonna go into the bathroom after hers one time, and it, it ain't gonna
You
be
gonna smell
pretty.
some
What I'm
things.
saying?
There's gonna be
It ain't
stuff
gonna be pretty,
everywhere.
man. You're gonna wake up in the morning and smell that morning breath. You're gonna see her before she has an hour to get ready to go out. I mean, so on and so forth, man. I mean, and you can date for a long time and all that kind of stuff, but when you see somebody and live with somebody day in and day out, you're gonna get some disappointments, and it's going to be mutual because you're not gonna live up to everything that you were. But at the same time, again, speaking to primarily the guys here, like, man, you can't put all of that on her because you're going to be disappointed, and you're going to set her up to fail. You can't marry a woman with the hopes or expectations for great sex every day and every night. It ain't going to happen. There's going to be some days where it just ain't rolling like that. There's going to be some days she might bleed once a month, and so a week out of your month might be even off limits for that. But so you can't project all of that stuff on her. You can't, you can't make an avatar of every porn star that you've watched over the years and project that on her and want her to be that. And and a lot of times, even like I said, in dating, we get to the point where we project all of that onto a woman and we look for somebody. I've made the mistake of dating somebody just because of what I thought what I thought was representation of me by her being with me. Like, she
Mhm.
made me, so she validated me somehow. She was this and she was that. And, because the surface looked great, and just because the frosting was good, and pretty and decorated, that somehow I had the cake. And it wasn't the case at all. So you got to be whole and complete, like you said, man. You got to be whole and complete. You got to make sure that you're not coming into it looking for somebody to fulfill something. Complimenting and completing are two totally different things. And somebody should compliment you, but they should never ever complete you. You should show up complete when you even meet, for sure, but definitely when you get to the point of getting married.
Yeah, especially for all of us recovering nice guys, or maybe some of you nice guys who
Mhm.
aren't even in recovery yet, but you need to get there. Do not be dating. Do not be getting married if you're in that situation, unless for some reason you found a unicorn and she loves your nice guyness and she's masculine and all that stuff, and it just works. But 99% of y'all, if you're still in nice guy syndrome, you need to work on that. You need to find your foundation. You need to find your healthy masculine foundation, which takes a lot of inner work and getting out of this headspace of, oh, I got to be nice, got to do whatever she wants, because no woman really wants that. They need a strong foundation. They want a man who is, taller, stronger, smarter, more wealthy, better at everything than they are. That's their natural hypergamy. And if you're not that and you're just trying to please a woman, you're missing out on the foundation that she's looking for. So then you basically are stuck in the friend zone. So for a lot of you nice guys and a lot of us that have gone through that, the best thing to do is disappear. Go get around a men's group. Go out into the woods for maybe go hike the Appalachian Trail or something like that. Go do something crazy manly so that you get back to in touch with who you are. Create some sort of inner awareness so that this is who I am. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what my purpose is, and then stand on the bedrock of that foundation and don't allow these ladies to push you off of that, because all the shit testing and all the things that they do is just for their own sense of security and safety. And if you can't provide that, if you can't stand up to those tests, if you can't stand up to the waves of her feminine emotional storms and turmoil, then she's not going to respect you. And as all men, respect is love to us. We need to feel respected. So if you can't stand in your own natural masculine presence and be the best man you can be for yourself, and then not allow a woman to knock you off of that, you're probably not ready for marriage. Because just like Kirk was saying, there you come into that relationship, it's going to test all those areas, and she's going to, whether she intentionally does it or unintentionally does it, or just out of her nature, is going to keep testing you. And you need to be that bedrock and that lighthouse that doesn't get battered down by the her feminine wiles and the storm of her emotions.
Every man wants to be respected. The reality is, being liked and being respected are two different things. And you got to
Right.
understand that, when you come into it as nice guy and you want to be liked, you're never going to like your way into respect. That doesn't work in any form with men or women, work, personal, sports, whatever it is. You're not going to like your way into being respected. And so you got to be willing. You got to have your nuts screwed on tight, because you're going to get kicked in them a couple of times, man. And you're not going to be popular, if you're pursuing the path of respect in the context of a relationship. And so you got to make sure that you have all of that buttoned up tight, man, because yeah, it will absolutely test you. And again, I think that's why so many of us are just not ready, because we come into it wanting to be liked and wanting to be respected. And I would say more often than not, the two of those cannot coexist. They are diametrically opposed. And when we try to be liked and we try to skirt around the issue, it just doesn't work. And so, I'm not saying you got to be a jerk
Mm-mm.
to be respected. But what I'm saying is, you can't be pursuing being liked and being respected at the same time. You can be liked and be respected, but if your motive and your mo is, I'm gonna like my way into respect, man, you're gonna be used, abused. You're probably
Mhm.
gonna be left. I mean, that's why most of them leave. That's why 80-90% of relationships end by the woman. I mean, and so you can't come into it like that. You got to be secure enough that, you know what, even if this doesn't go good today, if it doesn't go well this today, this month, this week, I'm gonna be okay. I don't need to take out my anger on her. I don't need to, you know, slap her upside the refrigerator. I don't need to do all that. I don't need to go seek an outlet because of what I'm not getting from her.
Mhm.
I mean, and so we got to make sure we walk that balance.
Yeah, I mean, that was a hard lesson for me. It's one I still struggle with sometimes, but I found as a good rule of thumb is don't bend on the things you're passionate about. Don't bend on your priorities. Don't bend on the things that you hold as your anchors and your core anchors of who you are and what you believe in. Other things, I mean, most things don't really matter. You can do the 5 by 5 rule anytime. Is this going to matter in 5 minutes or 5 years? If it's not, then who cares? But there are going to be some things that you need to stand firm on that are your priorities, that are your foundation. And that's a good way to know how to gain the respect when you won't be pushed on these things that matter to you. And that's pretty much what everybody wants. They want to know, can we trust you? And usually, unfortunately, there's no like, oh, let's sit down and have a conversation and talk about our priorities and our passions. And it's usually a test. Usually they're going to test and they're going to push boundaries until they find where you won't budge. And then they know that there's some bedrock there. They know there's some steel in your spine. They know that you can be trusted to say no to them. And if you can be trusted to say no to them, then probably you can be trusted to say no to and hold your boundaries with others. And so that's part of their need for sense of safety and security comes from how they test you. And sometimes it's just a matter of you going, no, honey, I'm not bending on that. I love you. I'm not going that way. And that's really what a lot of times, whether they say it or not, because most of the time they won't say it, they'll tell you the opposite. And then you believe what they say because you're a guy. You think what comes out of their mouth is really what is they mean, which 90% of the time is not at all. They want us to read their minds and their body language because they're so good at communication. But I swore I wouldn't bash women. But guys, make sure you hold on your foundation and gain that respect by having some boundaries, having some self-respect, and standing on a foundation that's strong for you.
Yeah, and probably my last major point here. I believe in the male, in the husband being. I believe in servant leadership, right? I believe in the samurai. Samurai means one who serves, right? And a samurai warrior is that a servant warrior, servant leader. I believe in that. Maybe everybody doesn't, but I do. Right? That's just kind of my philosophy, especially in the context of relationships, especially in the context of marriage. As soon as we're done here, I literally have all the food out on the counter to go cook dinner. Um, even though I worked all day today, even though she worked last night and she slept during the day, that's the plan for tonight. Um, and that's just one of the ways that I try to do. I don't cook all the time, but that's just one of the ways I do. And so, but being a servant leader, man, you got to have the humility, and you got to have your courage in hand, man, because I mean, thankfully it's not really that case with us, but sometimes, man, being a servant, man, you get overlooked, you get taken advantage of, you get looked down on, all those kinds of things. Jesus washed feet, and they funky, dirty, and all that. I mean, you know, people that work in restaurants, servers at restaurants and bussers, some of the worst treated people anywhere, and they make a couple bucks an hour kind of thing. And so you got to be willing to be a servant leader in the home, even when it's not fun, even when it's not popular, even when you're not affirmed, even when you're disrespected, to maintain all that. And like I said, I don't know that many of us. I'm not good at that all the time.
Mhm.
And I don't know that, and at the same time, I consider myself having spent years working on myself in all kinds of ways. And so that's a challenge for a whole lot of guys. And I don't know if a whole lot of guys are ready for that smoke.
Yeah, it's definitely a kind of this not a logical argument, but when you are looking for as a man, if this is a woman you should marry, you should be thinking about, is this the woman I'm ready to serve? This is a woman I would rather fight with than make love to. Almost like you want to make sure this is somebody you want to be in the trenches with, and the only way really to find that out is to battle it out. I saw a guy talking about it. It makes so much sense. You need to be having the uncomfortable conversations during the dating. You need to be having the battles and the fights during the dating. You need to be doing these things and not just keeping it all nice and fluffy and puppy love-ish and all like that. You need to find out who this person is during the dating before you put the ring on the finger, before you become attached and contractually obligated to be together. Because if you do not, then you're going to find out, like most guys do, that 3 to 7 years later, oh, she's taking all my stuff and my kids, and now I'm out because the legal system is not in our favor as men. So we have to do a lot more due diligence up front, and that first starts with us. You got to dig into yourself, find, your foibles and your traumas and your things, heal those, fix those, get some therapy around those, and use them as a good foundation for what you're building on with this other person. And then fight it out. You got to fight it out in the beginning. You got to take the time to actually get to know them and push buttons and have your buttons pushed and really find out if this is somebody you can work it out with. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that most of us weren't taught how to debate or argue effectively. We weren't taught how to communicate effectively. And 90% of a relationship is effective communication, or should be, even though that's probably not most people's relationships. It's mostly just yelling what from the other room, and I don't understand you, and why'd you say this and why'd you say that, and all those things. So finding somebody that you can actually have a debate with, you can have a discussion with, you can communicate with effectively, will go a long way into, should you marry this person? If you can communicate and go through the hardest, deepest, darkest subjects and come out the other side feeling like you accomplished something, that might be a good sign. It might be a green flag to go, hey, what's the next thing that you can get through? What's the next battle you can fight together? And how are you going to serve this relationship together? Because once you two come together and create a family, it's not about either one of you. It's about the whole. And that's one thing I think we don't get taught enough, is that you come in these two single whole people, then you create this third entity, which is the family, and that family becomes a priority. but we keep thinking that it's all about us. You come into relationships and marriages about that family. So are you ready to serve that family? Then maybe you should get married.
And if she's a feminine woman, she's going to be up and down. She's going to be emotional. She's going to be moody. She's going to be, unstable from what we would see. That's what we would call it as men. She's going to be like the flag, not like the flagpole. If she's a feminine energy, a feminine woman, and we got to be willing to be that flagpole. We got to be willing to provide some kind of anchor for all that kind of stuff. But again, it's not a glorious job. We're like the pillars of a building. The pillars of the building don't get decorations. The drywall does, the stuff that doesn't hold up the building. So on a military base, we salute the flag. Nobody salutes the flagpole, but you wouldn't be able to see the flag if it wasn't for the flagpole, right? And so we got to understand that that's part of it going into it. And so in summary, for me, I don't think most guys are ready for that smoke by far. I mean, I think even if you, like I said, if you've been together, you got to understand, man, it changes when you put rings on that, when you get legal and all that kind of stuff. And we literally, me and my wife, we followed every step in that book. I mean, we if you read that book, that was our 3.5 years before we got married. We went step by step with all that stuff. And at the same time, there's some, there's some days where it's like, man, we had a laughing fit, ironically, we were in kind of a little marital conflict, not anything bad or whatever, just, fussing back and forth. And it's just the twisted nature of our relationship. I mean, it was just like, man, I really don't like you. Man, really, I hate you. I hate you. I love you so much. I hate that. If I love you so much, I love you, but I hate you. I mean, and we just kind of put it all out there and got raw. So anyhow, I don't think most guys are. That's just where I stand.
Yeah, no, it's definitely in today's day and age with the legal system, with the way divorce rates are, you got to do your due diligence, gentlemen, and that starts with you. And then that starts with fighting it out while you're dating to find out if this is a good match. So that because we're putting, ladies hold the key to sex, we hold the key to relationships, and we're giving that key away way too easily and without vetting our partners too much, and then it's biting us in the rear end later on where we're losing our kids, losing our homes, losing everything else. So make sure you do your due diligence, and it starts with you. Get around some guys, get some therapy, find out what is your father issues, your father wounds, your scars, your traumas. Turn those into superpowers by healing them, and then use that to create your foundation to bring in the woman that will work with you. And then the two of you are going to have to learn how to serve each other and serve the family, because once you get together, it's not about you individually, is about the whole. And so as we finish up here, Mad Men Mafia, make sure you get on Amazon. You can find 7 Secrets of Modern Dating, #1 in 7 categories. And are we doing an ebook with this one, or is it just is it
I don't
ebook
know,
in?
man.
Okay,
We'll see.
Well, I know you can get the paperback on Amazon.
There is a soft copy. There's a Kindle version. Yes.
There's a Kindle version. Okay, so you
Yes.
can't get
Yes.
the book version of this, so you don't,
Yes.
you can read it on your phone, you can read it on your Kindle, or you can go old school. Maybe one of these days we'll get in the studio and read it and
Yeah.
have an audiobook copy. I don't know. It might take some time. We'll see. But
We'll
anyway,
see.
we love y'all. If you want to get married, take your time, read the book, and make sure you dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and fight it out. But we love y'all. If you need help, come check out your boys. I can help you out. Kirk can help you out. If we can't help you out, we'll probably find somebody who can. But until next time, happy Thursday, happy New Year, and we'll see you, Madmen, out.